absolutely beautiful. Wow, there we go. Amazing. All right, Cannon Master. I'm a little bit familiar with that. How is Cannon Master for you? Level 267, so you must like it at least a little bit.
Yeah, I love the class. I wish it was a little better, but I have fun playing it every single day. So not playing the Switch.
Okay. And you've been playing it for a long time, or Hyperburn, Terrorburn? Gives a little bit of background, I guess.
Pretty long while. So I've been playing on Reboot since like day one, but I played very, very casually. Like I'd usually play for like 2 weeks out of the year and then just go ghost. But I've been playing since October, basically every day. But before then, it was very casual.
Okay, since this October, you've been going really hard.
Yeah, basically. Just not crazy, but doing dailies every day. Haven't missed any, that kind of thing.
And most of the New Age updates.
Yeah, it was like the preparing for 6-star events where I was really like, ooh, I need to be doing this stuff.
That was a lot,
that's where they got me.
Korea
I saw the 1200 nodes,
right?
and
yeah, and symbols, and level of potions, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was crazy value. KMS didn't even get that, so Maple Sea had it, and then they copied it for us. So yeah, it's in terms of how you could prepare and how you could get value for your account with 6-Job on the way. That was one of the most generous events, I think. There were some chapters that were a little bit rough, but then they also nerfed some of them, right? Like right after they were released.
Yeah, some of the stuff was hard to do, but it wasn't too bad, and definitely worth it.
Yeah, for how much we got for it, I think it was 100% worth. Yeah. Okay, so now you're moving into like a little bit of a different stage of the game. What kind of content are you doing, and what kind of content are you looking to start doing?
Right now, I'm like doing C10 party. Gloom is like I can easily contribute to Gloom. I've cleared Dark Null with loot the last 3 weeks. I have not cleared Hard Hilla yet.
Okay.
I had a run where I cleared with like one T missing damage, and then last week I died out on like 8%. So I'm getting there with Hilla. I'm still learning it a bit.
Okay.
But Dark Null I can survive if the party's fast enough and I have the damage to get my 5% in.
So are you just running with like randos in the like pickup groups, or do you have a set party?
Yeah, either that or with my guild. It depends. It depends on when we're running or when the boss. Sometimes reset hits and I'm like, oh, I need an arcane box. I can't wait.
I see. Okay, so patience is maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Patience with the weekly bossing is difficult.
Okay. So you want to get it in immediately to see if you can make gains that week, or if you're just going to be sitting. I gotcha. Okay. I mean, I think when you're pretty much dedicated to one character, that becomes almost inevitable, but that's probably why I kind of spread myself a bit more thin and go a little bit more in width, so that way if you do get unlucky with one character, you still have a bunch of other characters that can hit something, and it doesn't feel
I like
as bad.
I like playing on other characters.
But what other characters do you give some love to?
So, well, they don't get any money at all, but all my boss mules, I have 4, and 3 of them were hyperburns, but I'm always like, oh, I'm going to make a second main, I'm going to try and play a class that's a little stronger, and it never goes anywhere. I get bored, I'm like, oh, Cannon Master is more fun. Then I just go back.
Love it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good sign, though. That means that you'll be able to take this character like into the ends of the, ends of the worlds, and
yeah, that's the plan. I definitely want to represent the class a bit, especially when we get a little stronger coming up.
Yeah, that will be nice. I think in general in New Age there was a lot of quality of life stuff as well. With the cannons, or was that already a little bit longer ago that they? Because like the cannons were really, really strong when they first came out, and then they had to basically, as Cannoneer got more skills, they had to kind of nerf them to make sure that Cannoneer wouldn't get grow too much out of proportion, and then they basically added all the functionality back, with the slower bullets, faster bullets, and being able to fire all at once if you want to squeeze out the burst a little bit faster. I think that was
I think it was like a 3-second cooldown on the bullets when I started playing the class, or when I got whenever I hit level 200.
And like infinite hits, right? So way back in the day, so you just send one bullet out and then just walk clown just through the bullet. He's like endlessly killing himself on the damage with the slow. Yeah, that was some good times. His Merc IGN. Uh-oh, what is it? Akimbo Clips? Wait, what is that? What is that reference?
I don't know. I made that Mercedes is from like when Reboot came out, so I was probably in middle school or high school.
Oh shit. You don't even remember the reference anymore?
No, it's like a akimbo is like in Call of Duty where you're like dual wielding guns, like two weapons. So that's
Ah, I
they
gotcha.
named Mercedes that because it has the two bows.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Some of them are questionable. Night Lord name is based. I'm glad they like the Night Lord.
Where's the Night Lord? Hang on, let's see.
It's in the bottom row in the middle.
Oh, I see. I Pepe Throw, yeah. Big Drake guy. You actually took some time to make names. When I was fully going on Legion, I just named them all some dumb placeholder names, and then now
I didn't really
regret,
take long.
yeah.
I'm just kind of like the first thing that pops in my mind, I type it, and then usually it's available.
Okay, okay. You're much more original than I am then, because everything I was trying to type was either taken or I didn't just want to take like half an hour to pick a good name. Sometimes that takes longer than a prequest, you know, like getting a good name for your character. Okay, so you're looking, I'm guessing, for just general progression with the character to make sure that you can keep growing whatever you're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Stay efficient.
Definitely a lot with the gear, and then also with funding my other characters. Because like my boss mules, the hero, Dark Knight, Buck, and Luminous, they have like no stars. The Buck is the only one that wasn't a hyperburn, so he doesn't have like the fake abso. So I did give him 17 CRA, but other than that, they have almost no funding. Like it's just nodes and symbols.
Wait, did you anvil the weapon to pencil it?
No, that's the real deal. I think I have enough of the Lotus rocks right now, but I just haven't done weeklies. And he's like clearing the bosses I need him to solo fast enough, so I just haven't haven't taken the time.
Yeah, so that's I think that's an important thing that you mentioned, like as fast as you want them to be able to clear it, right? That's usually what I use as a perspective, is just see like what do I want to be able to do on the character, and then look at what is the gap between where it is and where it needs to go, and not just fund a character because you can, or just like at infinity, because for some characters that's not the goal for the character, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, whatever is your best in slot is the best in slot for what the character needs to be able to do, and not just endless, infinite progress, because then you'll never be able to hang on to any money at that point to be able to do the projects that you want to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely want to I think the Buck is probably the one I would make stronger. I'm also thinking I might just next hyperburn just burn a Buck and just leave this Buck where he is and just have two of them, because it's really easy and it's fun for me to do bosses on him.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, you could continue this one. You can make a new one. You've got plenty of character spaces. If you were okay with having 2 Bug boss mules, that's fine too. I mean, I often tell people sometimes struggle, like which character could I make as a boss mule? It's like, well, what about the character that you main? Why don't you just make another one of those? You already know the bosses inside and out, and you know exactly how your character is played. It's like, wouldn't that be a waste? I mean, I think it would be a bigger waste to try to like fund a character that you don't really like playing when you have 6 extra character spots available, where you could just put a character that you already love playing in there if it's just for the weekly money.
I think I only need like 27 Legion blocks for my character, so I have quite a lot of. It's not like I'm wasting getting a Legion guy leveled up doing that. And I already have all my Legion blocks that I need.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're already past 8k Legion, so do you have like all the classes, or like close to it probably, right?
I don't have all the classes. I know as far as for like what I want, as far as like the block bonuses, I have my Bowmaster is 195 and my Pathfinder is 151, and once they're 200, I have all the blocks I need, at least 200. So I'm almost there with that. Yep. I was hoping to finish it on Strawberry, but now I just have a level 195 Bowmaster doing nothing.
Oh, well, there's always got to be some event EXP that can't really go anywhere, so
I'm not too worried.
So the goal for the bossing mules would be to get to like 225 to 230 and do Lotus and Damien, or do you want to go beyond that?
I haven't really decided. Like my Dark Knight, like my Hyperburn, he's 260 and he can do Lotus and Damien, but he's pretty weak. But I just don't know if that's something I want to take the time to do. I guess my goal would probably just be like do a catchy without it being so painful, because I hate doing like a 7 to 10 minute catchy run. It's just.
Oh no, of course, yeah. No, that
so I guess that's probably where I would end them for now, and I think that would only take a little funding because they can all do a catchy. I just skip it some weeks because I'm like, oh, I really don't want to sit in there.
So a catchy CPAP, and then does the Dark Knight do like a catchy CPAP into normal slime, or do you just stop at Lotus Damien?
I stop at Lotus and Damien. I haven't even done fill his stones yet, so.
Yeah. No, well, that I am 100% like on board with if you don't want to do that. I've got like 2 characters that have been 260 for a while that don't have the stones yet. But since it's your secondary character, that is quite a lot of extra money that, you know, should be pretty close to being able to jump into. Just between Akechi, CPEP, and Slime, that's like 400 mil, 500 mil almost per week extra. That's quite a nice extra amount, because that would be like a starting boss mule's entire money, right?
Yeah, I mean,
to kind of bring him a bit more into 260. I'm not saying like, you know, unlock origin skill tomorrow, but that would I think eventually. So when I make a hyperburn, when I make a 260, my goal for it is to probably be able to do for my account is to be able to do like Hard Lotus and like Gloom, and then maybe normal Lucid if that's not too long. But if that takes too long, just easy Lucid, normal Slime, and then for Damien, hard if I feel like it, but probably just do normal, and then probably and if you want to, like a normal Darknell, and then just all the regular normal bosses essentially. Because even for you can't really do Vihela like normal solo. That's going to take forever as well, right? So if it's really the purpose of a boss wheel, but if it's getting up to 260, because you'll have that full matrix available, because you have all the stat available, because you have all the dailies available, and extra symbols, and because you eventually pretty reasonably have the origin available, I feel like that's a good clump of the bosses to do, and that probably will take you more than the half hour. But you can probably pretty easily find the boss mule guild. You can probably pretty easily find, maybe not even use all the boss the guild skills at the same time, right? Maybe use one of them,
spread them out a bit,
or 2 of them, spread them out a little bit, right? But that should pretty easily bring in like 1.6 to 2 bill, I think, for a boss mule like that. But that's probably, you know, not even, or that's around like what you're doing on your main, right? Like pretty close in terms of, but you make more money because you're not 6-manning, right?
Yeah.
And then the crystal isn't splitting so deep. So I guess that's one thing, you know, if you're going into C10A really quickly because you're, you know, trying to get as many runs in as you can so that you can start having the odds of, you know, potentially winning the items as early as possible. What does end up happening is that you get a lot of experience, and then you can translate that experience, hopefully with some damage, towards splitting up to smaller parties earlier, and then increasing the chance even more, right? Because that's really the future of a pitch waiting room, is just getting smaller parties so that you can have fewer people in or with you in line to the pitch pieces.
Yeah, that's definitely like the most immediate step I'm looking to go is like is like probably at this point probably like trio C10 where I'm at. So that's probably where I'm going with my main.
What are you typically soloing up to where?
I don't solo too much. I've been duoing hard Damien. I think I could solo it. Like we finish our run in like 18 minutes, and I'm a bit stronger than my friend that I go with. And then Lotus, I just can't survive in hard Lotus like solo duo. It's
okay. Well, I would say if the run is 18 minutes, I'll probably still duo, just because that means that the solo is probably like 25 minutes plus.
Yeah.
And that's like, I mean, if you want to do that on your main character, that you're definitely like, you have my blessing. But personally, for me, that would just not be worth the time, and I'd rather duo it with someone and just have it done in a slightly more reasonable time frame.
It's hard to hit that boss with my class. So
yeah, you can, you know, you have your binds for your tech, and then you can wait until he's up in the air and then shoot a cannon right away, so at least it full hits, right? But there's
jump up there and throw it.
Many of the summons have trouble. All of the summons on the floor, your anchor and your monkey squad is just like sitting and waiting. No, I got that. Yeah. Where's because my cannoneer is. So I feel like I do. Well, I usually don't. No, I do hard Damien, yeah. But I do hard Lotus and a hard Damien together. That usually takes me around. I think that takes me a little bit under 20 minutes, so like around 18 minutes, but to do both of them. But I don't have my origin skill yet on my character. So who are you doing with? What are they?
So for Damien, I'm just a friend in my guild, but he's a Dawn Warrior 270, but he's a Hyperburn, so his like stat is a bit lower.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So we can see where you're at. Probably a lot of gear questions.
I'm
Usually
also
I like
not
to do
very
the.
good, so that also
Uh huh.
contributes to the bossing.
Sure.
Like I play a lot of games, and MapleStory has always like I've been playing MapleStory since it came out. Like I was in
Mm-hmm.
third grade, and it's always been a very casual game. So the idea of like tryharding, I guess, in these bosses is relatively new to me because I always just played it
Mm-hmm.
as a very casual grinding game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And now you're getting to the
I'm
point.
starting to get the hang of things with bossing.
Yeah.
But
You can
definitely,
kill them very quickly, but then the reward per boss isn't there, so you're kind of getting forced by the game to get better at the mechanics to be able to solo it, so that you can actually have a reasonable chance of getting the drops, right?
yeah.
Yeah, everyone has to decide for themselves how much they want that to influence how they play, but you're getting pushed in that direction very clearly by the design and where the game is
Yeah,
at
and
these days,
it
yeah.
does feel rewarding when I like am
Mm-hmm.
starting to see some improvements. So it's not too
Yeah,
bad.
I talk about it a lot with people in chat and on these sessions as well. And when you do start soloing, you can see your progress also way more clearly in terms of optimizing when you do your damage or having a good run versus a bad run. Because when you're playing with 6 people and someone fucks something up somewhere, that's not noticeable, right? But if you're alone and you fuck something up, that could be you missing your run and having to run again if you fuck up a few things. So but if you get better mechanically and not even upgrading, and then you add upgrades on top of that, you can see your run go from like 18 minutes down to 16, down to 15, down to 14. You get an Oz ring, suddenly it goes down to like 12 minutes, and suddenly
Yeah.
you can do hard lotus and hard gaming like within a half hour within your G skills, and then you can really see your progress and your stats and everything working for you. So yeah, usually with these sessions, I go through the gear last, because I want to make sure that all the other fundamentals and all the other questions are all sorted, because sometimes some of that will affect how the path for equips will move forward, and as a result otherwise we might have to like backtrack a lot. So if you don't mind, I'd like to probably start, I guess we could start working from the bottom up maybe.
Yeah, that works.
And then whatever topic comes up that is relevant, we'll just drag it in, I guess.
Okay.
Have you seen any of my sessions before, and have you seen any of my commands or used those before?
So I haven't done much in the Discord or the stream, but I usually watch your sessions while I'm at work. Well, I just listen to it while I'm working. So I usually learn a lot from those. So that's why I decided to do one.
Working hard
Working
or
hard?
hardly
Yeah,
working?
yeah. I'm not watching them. I'm just listening. Like I'm not looking at the screen. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's
Just
cool if you
hearing
can,
people who don't know a lot like me talking and like
Mhm.
trying to pick up some things.
Yeah, I think you always pick up at least 1 or 2 things in every session.
Yeah, I
don't
try to
think
find
there's
people
ever
like
one.
around my progression
Mhm.
state, and I'm like, all right, let's see what this guy's up to.
Yeah, so you already have half a session done when you hear
Yeah.
a few other ones, right? It already sets you in the
That was
in the
something
right
I
direction.
learned from the most recent one is like the raid power and getting more coins. I was like, oh, I never even thought of that.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah,
was
it's all
another
those
thing I
little
wanted
bits,
to look
right?
into.
It all helps. Okay.
'Cause I never have coins.
Yeah, I mean, if you're actively playing, they just like
Yeah,
in-
I'm buying the yellow pots and the green pots like every day, multiple times a day.
Yep, it'll just go in and out super fast. Oh yeah, we have that here as well. Okay, so farming, Grandis versus Illumina, healing fams, boss fight. Yeah, so I feel pretty safe to say that you will never need a boss fems until you're like, if you're really endgame and you're trying to do the hardest bosses that are out there and you try to make it into those parties, as a kind of near good luck, then boss fems will be part of your total damage that will have a pretty big impact at that point, because upgrading anything else when you're like in a waiting room for everything basically, is just takes a long time and will just be RNG based, so or it would be super expensive otherwise, right? So there comes a time where just going back, and even maybe if you're not making money on your main, but you probably just have some drop rate on another character that also can make money, can get droplets, can get nodes, can get familiars all on one character, and then just like move them over. That will become like the best thing you can do, like value per time wise. But that is pretty far. Like my Demon Avenger, for example, Probably going to be starting to do, but you know, we've been trying to fill up our party, but probably moving into like normal Kalos and easy culling as well at level 280. But that guy doesn't have any bossing FAMs really.
Yeah.
So you can get really far like without them, but it'll just help you more and it'll take some pressure off of the other things to get there. Healing FAMs are very, very nice. It's really, if you're like trying to solo hard Vihela and you can't just like nuke her in one time, that's a boss fight where it's really useful. Again, if you're a DA, you don't necessarily need them, but for all the other classes, you'd want them. But if you have a party, you know, maybe the support uses... There's no boss fight where everyone needs like 2 big healing FAMs and, you know, between 6 people and we need 12 heal. Maybe in the beginning if you're practicing, but if you don't want to use it as a crutch too much, right? You don't want to keep needing that. So ideally, if among the whole party you've got like, you know, 5 or 6 mid healings or like 4 big healings, that should help everyone's survivability quite a bit, and no one should have any trouble like still dying. If you do, you just need to, you know, get better and just practice more. So if you have at least like 1 large healing, that'll already get you quite far.
Yeah, I have one. I think I have them on there, but I have one like regular healing. But I'm kind of like splitting my time 50-50 now between FAMs and farming and Grandis. And I'm kind of in the position where it's like, because I do want at least another good healing FAM, and if I'm going for uniques for healing FAMs, you know, maybe I'll hit a boss, so it's kind of like a little more incentive. Like I might just hit a really good FAM along the way. Usually the advice is just to keep making epics until you have the large drop, and since you have that, you've got like free reign to start making uniques here. The only alternatives would be like to start throwing some familiars at like the bossing mules. Make sure they all have 15% ID familiars, like at least 2 of them there, I would say, because that's really big value early on. But once you've got that covered, maybe a character. So if there's a character that that isn't positioned where you want it, I would open rares on there to see if you can get the increases drop rate, the 50% one. Just so you can get yourself backups on that character and make that whole process a bunch faster. Other than that, yeah, just throw them all into the main, and with this setup, excuse me, yeah, definitely start. You can definitely start making uniques, yeah. Yeah, I've been making uniques lately. Just nothing even close to usable. But that's how it goes with the uniques.
I get that. Yeah, no, for sure. There's a whole sea of nothingness you have to wade through to get to anything
defense
remotely
plus 40.
useful. Yeah. But I think it's fine if you have this as your familiars, that you spend quite a bit of time just like in Grandis getting the fragments and all that stuff. And then maybe you eventually go back once you're like, maybe you hit like 275 and you're like, I don't know if 280 is for me right now, or I'm just gonna, you know, relinquish the main to just doing dailies for now for a bit, and, you know, work again maybe way more on bossing mules, trying to bring some stuff up there. Because then that also might mean that you get some characters, you know, past 245. Maybe you get some characters towards 250, event characters. And one thing, it's pretty long term, but one thing that you want to think about is if eventually you're going for pitch, you'll be in pitch waiting room forever, right? But eventually you want to switch over the heart. And one thing that a lot of people need to be thinking about now and, you know, need to move towards is characters that can do hard Lotus. And then that doesn't necessarily mean you have to do everything else on that level, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you also have to do Gloom and also maybe Darknell and also hard Damien. You could also just do hard Lotus, and that takes up like, you know, 15 to 20 minutes run. And then with the rest of the G skills, you just do like normal Damien, Slime, maybe easy Lucid, you know, like those bosses. And then the bosses that come after that, you don't need the G skills anymore, because if you can do that first one, you can, you know, you can just blow up all the other ones without G skills. That's something to grow into, but when you're looking at bossing mules, I would already have in the back of my mind, like, if it's a character you like, do you see yourself doing hard Lotus on this character? Now, you don't even see yourself doing hard Lotus on your main character right now, but,
yeah,
you know, characters with Dark Side, for example, or, you know, with a lot of mobility, teleport classes can be pretty useful, because you could just get underneath from all of the stuff that would otherwise stun you, right? That could all be pretty useful. And yeah, so just like as a general thing to keep in the back of my mind. But I think it would be totally fine with this setup if you just go super hard to try to build out your 6 job, because there's a lot of damage you gain just from building 6 job. Like, still, like every week I feel my arc still like getting stronger because my skills are leveling up. And I can definitely see some C10 just still like dying in fewer and fewer bursts, and being able to put more and more of my weekly bossing inside of G skills. And yeah, of course I've got a very solid foundation there, right? So every single multiplier there is force amplifier in terms of like how much gains you make. But yeah, there's a huge amount of gains to be made with the 6 job. So
okay,
once
and then I'll also
job,
be getting towards 270 a lot faster.
Exactly.
Because I'll be getting like 4 or 5% in 30 minutes, as opposed to what I get in Grandis, like, or in Limina is like 0.5%.
No, yeah, half or a third, or yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal out there. Yeah. Yeah, I think once you get to like 275 to 280, like once you get into that area, then comparatively you're going to be mostly just waiting for items. And then, if more of your time goes towards familiars, that'll probably be a better balance, I guess.
Okay. And you said like, so farming for familiars on like a secondary. I don't know if I can ever see myself. I guess if I make a second main, but like investing into drop gear on like a boss mule, or I guess it would be a second main, but.
Yeah, for side character it would be easier, right? Because then you just know it's part of the natural progression, so you need it. For a boss mule, yeah, a little bit of drop here and there, but like I said, the familiar is probably gonna be the familiar and drop rate coupons that are gonna be just carrying your drop rate on a boss mule. You do want some drop rate because you'll get Kana rings faster, maybe a slime ring if you're going there, maybe a dominator. The superior Gollux or the reinforced Gollux, whichever you're going for, you got those drops faster. But yeah, just be aware of the amount of time that will go into a character. Like, some people are like, okay, I'm just gonna make like 12 boss mules, gonna go all full Abzo, all full Superior, and then work on Arcane. And like, for some people, they have the time to do that, but for most people, that's like kind of a ridiculous thing to set up, because now your game, like 6 hours a day for the next like 4 months, is gonna be just building up boss mules, And then you see those things happening in KMS, and it's like, you don't even know if they're going to be able to bring that money back that you invested into them. So I usually go slow, organically, with the drops I get. They slowly trickle down, kind of like waterfall down to the next character that needs to push a little bit more. Maybe some event nodes here and there go to a character. And then just try to do the bosses around the level and see if I can do them. If I can't, then I try to fund it a little bit more with whatever resource I have in abundance. Because that's the one that, account-wise, has the lowest quote-unquote value. So that's the one that I can miss I can miss the most of. But yeah, Fems seems solid. So what did you have? Grandis for Slimina, important healing Fems. You feel like that's addressed properly?
Yeah. I'm probably gonna leave the Fems for now.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
If you do feel like the grinding in Grandis is just like too intense, but you still want to do something on the character, then by all means, go for.
It's not.
Or if it's more AFK or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like one-shotting AFK. It's not. It's more so the Fems. I feel like after my grind session, I just have a little more to show for it, and then I like make it unique, and it's like, yeah. But no, I'm not having trouble with the damage.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, so you're okay to move on to the meso part? Funding, main, and mules. I guess we kind of got into it a little bit.
Yeah,
already.
we did get into
that. So, what stage of progression? Fund mules. Yeah, so I think it's fine to have like little groups of characters, like little duos or trios of characters that kind of are in the same spot in the game, but to always have characters in different spots, so that you. And then that they organically probably move from one to the next based on doing some symbol dailies, maybe some monster park, maybe an event coupon, or event EXP here and there, and then they kind of just move on to the next stage. So the biggest clumps I usually see is just being able to do 3-door, and then maybe like Killsping Bean, Hard Hilla, maybe normal sickness, then adding like Vellum and Magnus. That's like a little bit higher. So that first group is probably like 215, then like 220, then like 225, or from 220 to 225 you can start adding like what their faces, Akechi and CPAP, and then like 225 to 230 you can start adding a Lotus and Damien, And then if you go beyond that, I would always add slime. But the next jump past that usually is like anywhere from between 235 and 250. Usually there I don't make too many extra gains. So they're kind of like the same to me. Like a 235 or 250 on my account is like does roughly the same thing.
Yeah, that's kind of how it's like my 260 hyperburn and then my 235 hero are like basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm. But you've got like a way like more like the foundation, right? Like the basics of that Dark Knight are now much wider. You got access to a lot more stuff. So that guy should pretty easily get to a point now where it can get up to a point that's far away from the hero.
Yeah, if I give him some 17s, it would be like...
Yeah, exactly.
Big
You'd immediately be killing like normal slime, easy lucid, stuff like that will get like way closer, or at least easy lucid can still take a while, but like normal slime and like a lotus and everything below like within a half hour, like way faster.
Yeah.
Probably like single bursts, like big bursts with origin the slime, honestly. But again, like you want to have like kind of an idea of like your time within a week, right? Like how much time do you want to spend on your main? How much time do you want to spend on mules? I think it's fine to have like if you look at the progression grid, I guess, to have like until the end of the early game to work on like 1 or maybe 2 boss mules. I mean, you probably have like 1 side character. Everyone is like 1 kind of side character, and then 1 character that's just a boss mule up until like end of early game. That's probably fine. And I think towards the mid game, you probably want to get towards 2 or 3 like solid like Lotus Damien characters.
Mm-hmm.
1 probably, again, 1 is... Everyone almost has like 1 side character that probably goes up to like Slime. And then basically like 2 to do up to Lotus and Damien and everything below. And then you probably have like a group of like 3 to 4 characters that could probably do 3-door and maybe C-Val, but you don't do it every week, but you can do it if you need a bit of extra meso or something like that. So that's usually characters that you take to like 210 for the level 3 Link skill, and that you also kind of like their kit and you're okay bossing on them. So a lot of times for people,
I think I'm
it's like
pretty good with the boss mules, because since I have like 4 of them that are easily doing 4-door CRA, and then sometimes more.
That's good, that's good. But do you feel like a lot of time goes into your boss mules that you would rather spend on your main, or do you feel like you're okay with...
I do feel that way, but it's not because of like that it's taking too long for the bosses. I really just don't want to do it. Like like I'd just rather be just grinding. Gotcha. But there was, when I was pushing for 265, I just went like 2 weeks without doing my boss mules, but I've been doing them again since then.
I don't think it's a bad idea to just want to grind on your main and just do that more. The amount of money you end up making per hour is less, but you're still in the part where you would also have to reinvest time and resources into developing the boss mules more. So you can't really just see the boss mule money as pure profit either, right? Whereas the money that you make grinding is pure profit.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you're not like comparing apples and oranges and then feeling bad about grinding, because if you go and you just grind on your Cannoneer all day every day because that's what you want to do, and you're getting fragments, you're getting all of the node stones, like pretty cool. Like your matrix is already looking really good, so like pretty soon those node stones are also just going to be direct funding to your bossing mules, right? And that's going to take away the money that they might need to get invested into them to then bring the money back. So I feel like if you're feeling like grinding right now, just because of the fragments and everything, like there's a lot of value in just grinding on your character. And if you can put in the hours, you know, and then you have like 2 or 3 dedicated boss moves that just together make at least like a bill a week per character, then I think that's worthwhile to jump into. But if a character can make like 300 mil or something, and then I would say fuck that character and just like grind out on your main, honestly.
Yeah.
Because maybe...
Yeah, I don't...
If you have time for some... Go for it.
Yeah, I don't really feel like too much when I'm not wanting to do the boss mules. I don't feel obligated to do it because I really haven't invested almost anything to them. Like just like secondary and emblem, they have fake Abso, and then 17 CRA on the buck, and that's really all I've put in.
Yeah, and then if you don't do a week, or if you eventually drop them or something, it doesn't feel like, oh no, all my money.
Yeah, I definitely am. I'm not. I don't feel like I'm like chained down to working on them.
Okay, that's good. That's good. But you did have the question on like where do you fund them more?
Yeah,
Meso and everything?
Like at what point on my progression on my main, is it just going to be like diminishing returns where I am going to have like where it's going to be worth it for me to be making more money on the mules by putting money in?
I mean, I think honestly, it's when you stop enjoying grinding as much,
Okay.
or when you feel like if I grind on my main for like an hour now, I don't really get anything from that. Like you get 0.5%, you get some nodes. Maybe your Hexa matrix doesn't even have that much growth potential anymore at that point. You know, that's when. But as long as you feel like we want to push bosses, you want to get more final damage on the bosses, like at this point, all the way up to 290, like you're getting final damage increase up to like the hardest boss that's in the game now. So if you like grinding on your main and you can like put the hours in, I would say just do that all day, every day, and then maybe even just let all of the other boss mules go, because ultimately for your whole account, that's going to stay valuable for a long ass time. The one thing you run into is like if you completely run out of Legion coins, right? And then you run completely out of buffs, then your value per time is going to take a bit of a hit. So if you're going past that, it gets closer. If you have like no 2x anymore, no MVPs, no Legion drop coupon, no nothing, then it gets closer. But even then, just if you put the hours in, you're gonna make money. You're gonna get fragments. It's gonna be a good return.
Yeah. I think yeah, that's definitely probably where I'm gonna be at though. Just not funding, but I'm still gonna do the boss mules because it's like 2 hours a week for like 5 or 6 bill. So I'm definitely still worth it.
Yeah, and you want a little bit of a change of scenery every now and then, I imagine.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially when the events come closer, like Shining or stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, I need so much money, money.
Yep. Yeah, so as long as you feel like that balance is there, as long as you don't feel like you're doing every time you do a boss mule that you just rather be grinding every single time, or as long as you know like, well, this is just better money per hour. So as long as I do some of this, then I've earned myself some more grinding, I guess.
Yeah.
Then you use it as a reward. Then you're good, honestly. So
yeah, luckily my boss mules are very, very like simple. The only one, Lumi is a pain sometimes to do, but like the other ones are
charging
just one
and
button, super simple.
And I think that's what most people want out of their bossing mules, especially if you prefer to be grinding on your main. It's just to have a very simple character, not one that you're like, oh fuck, how does this character work again? And you have to start reading your skills. You just want to log in, kill the thing, and log out, right?
Yeah, when I first started, I was like, oh, I want to make these really cool classes for bossing mules, but it's just after, and the Lumi's not even that difficult. It's just a more than a one button, and after that, I was like, oh, I don't like doing this every week.
Yeah, and there is a point where if you fund characters to a certain point, they can become one button classes again. They can become so strong that you don't actually need to use most of your burst on some of the bosses.
Yeah.
But you will earn that over time. Just like with your nodes, once you see that your main character, basically everything is kind of maxed, and there's not much for you to really progress on, then you can start throwing some nodes at another character. Always have some kind of a buffer in case you need to make something, but you can start dividing them over those characters. And one thing I usually recommend is just to have do daily symbols on just one character, and then weekly characters maybe on 2 or 3, because that will give you steady progress in terms of stat that is kind of unparalleled in any other ways, and it's kind of free as well, right?
Yeah, so for my main, I think I have 6 days left until my arcanes are maxed, so I'm probably gonna decide on a character to start doing that on.
Yeah, I always had the thing where I'm doing 1 region per day max.
I have a bunch in my inventory. That's where they're a little.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, so I think 6 days left.
Yeah, it doesn't give you anything whether looks like it's 30% or 80%. Like it's the same thing. But I would always have the thing where I'm doing 1 Vanishing Journey per day max. So as soon as I max it, then another character I'll start doing Vanishing Journey there, and then that way you kind of have like a rotating system of you're kind of doing the same amount of dailies, but you're spreading them out over different characters. So people would always come into the stream like, how many characters are you doing dailies on? It's like, well, I'm doing dailies on like 12 characters, but I'm really just doing 1 set of dailies. But I'm just, this one is doing Monster Park, this one is doing, Grandis, this one is doing these 3 areas, this one. So it looks like I'm doing everything on all the characters, but I'm trying to keep it, managed, because there's just some things in the game that have just too high value and can't really drop it. It would just be too much of a waste. But again, that's a personal thing where you got to balance, right? The amount of stuff that you don't like doing, but that is worth it, and the stuff that you like doing, but that is maybe not as much worth it. Trying to balance those things out, that's basically this whole game. Because if it's worth it and you like it, then obviously you're going to want to do it all the time, and the game's going to applaud you for it. And it's not worth it, and you don't like doing it, then obviously you drop that and you throw that to the wayside. So it's really about balancing those middle two things.
Yeah, I definitely I try to never make it a chore, because the only reason I've been able to like be playing consistently for this many months in a row is just because I do what I like. Sometimes I have to suffer, but I just do what's enjoyable, and I like the progression.
Yeah, if it's a little bit suffering, then you know that it's gonna unlock something that's even greater joy. So it's a worthwhile investment. Yeah, that's try to keep that for as much and as long as possible. That's the
plan. That's why I don't ever push it. I'm just like, this is working for me. Even if I could progress a bit faster, it's very consistent right now, and I'm enjoying like seeing the progression. So I don't want to ruin it. I just want to keep doing what's fun for me.
Okay. You feel like you have a bit of a clearer goal for the mules, or do you still have any remaining questions there?
I guess the only next one is like picking mules. I have a few that are like kind of prepped.
Okay.
I kind of have this like thing where I tunnel in on. Well, now I have the dex box, but before it was like, okay, I have to make strength classes because I have all the level 200 strength box.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, but you have to remember that the stats that you get, the member bonuses, don't get multiplied by percentage stat. So once you have
I
like
didn't know that.
Yeah, so once you have a really big legion and like all of your links, the total amount of damage that is represented by those blocks is not that massive. It's in the same situation as like your symbols. So you can kind of, if you add all the stat up from your legion members, and you compare that to like how much stat you get from your sacred symbol, for your arcane and sacred symbols, they're both like final stats. So then you can kind of compare more evenly like how that works. It's not like getting 100 strength flame on a single item. Yeah. But yeah, the fact that you just said that you didn't know that hopefully that puts a bit better into perspective. Like, definitely it helps you, but if you're looking at like the Lynx command or the Legion command, there's a reason why the flat stat boys are like all the way here behind in the red area. It's because they're useful, but they're definitely less useful than all of these other guys here. So in terms of priority and putting them on the board, they're not number one priority, but there's so many things that you could put on the board that's even worse that obviously they make the cut.
Okay. Yeah, so now, I guess next Hyperburn, I'll just Hyperburn whatever class I want. Because this time I was like, what do I want to do? I need to do a strength class. Alright, Dark Knight looks cool enough, so yeah.
Especially if you're not like, you have to you don't have to be in love with it like with the CM, but you do have to kind of like it, right? Because I think it's a big value to potentially waste to get to 260 and then not like cash in on that weekly money that you could be making from that character.
Yeah.
And it might be better to just take a little bit longer to look and maybe try out all the 5th jobs again a little bit and just like try to narrow it down rather than to just pick one, because strength, I would say.
If you want to look at my on the board one more time, but so the guys that I kind of have ready is the Demon Slayer, the Thunderbreaker, the Dawn Warrior, and the Wind Archer are the ones that I'm like looking to. Those would probably be the next ones I kind of get to like 220, 225. Everyone except the Wind Archer already has like 200 nodes or so.
Okay. Yeah, so when it comes to nodes, when I did all of like CRA on 100 nodes, and I think with 200 nodes you should be able to get up to probably including like up to like CPAP and Akechi, and then for like Lotus and Damien usually I go a little bit higher, like 300 to 350 maybe total, but I always start low and then fund with the sources that I have available, see if I can get reinforced Skolix, get into a bossing guild. Like even if it's just like an open bossing mule guild, just to get, because you can very easily get like 2 maxed out skills. See if you get those 2 50% ID familiars, and then kind of just do the bosses, and then see, does this feel like a good pace? Like, can I do the bosses that I want to do in a respectable amount of time? And then for some characters it's probably going to be enough, and for some characters not, and then you just fund the ones a little bit more where it's not enough, and the ones where it's good, you just keep them there. And then you can do, and then that funding you could do with either a little bit more nodes, either a little bit more money. Maybe you do the lower level bosses a little bit, try to get some backups, and if you have backups, then maybe an event, maybe some Star Force. or you do something like simple dailies and stuff like that, right? To just slowly work the character up to get it to the point where it can make that jump. Or Monster Park, extra levels. Events, just a few more levels, right? You have a bunch of options there, so pick whatever resource you have available to you.
Okay.
But those all sound like solid classes. But even if, to me, they didn't, if those are the ones you've tried and those are the ones you like, then those are the ones you should pick, you know? It's
Okay. Yeah, usually for the mules, I'm at the point where I'm like, all right, I just need to play a broken class that's simple.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you did pick Dawn Warrior, so you're good.
Yeah, Dawn Warrior, Demon Slayer.
Then here you mentioned Nightwalker. That's for a lot of people also in that category. It's very strong. Okay. Gets really good value. Has its own bind. And like the setup for your damage is an iframe, so you don't like get interrupted in that. That's nice. When it comes to like 3-minute or 2-minute classes, a lot of people like to pick 2-minute classes so that it's easier with like a limited funding to just be able to bind in full burst a boss and kill it. But then when you get strong enough, you don't ever need like your full 3-minute burst, and you can start like staggering your 3-minute burst, and that can essentially almost kind of make you like a 90-second character. So, you know, depending on how far you're going to go, there might be a downside to a 2-minute class, or even an upside on the flip side, right? So I don't know if that should be a discriminator. I think you should just look at which characters would you enjoy logging into every week, and would you enjoy playing and doing that on. I think that ends up being the best advice, because that's the one you look forward to, and the one you feel the less forced to do and hate your time being on there, essentially. Play AB, the 1-minute class? Oh yeah, they're gonna get the rework, yeah. Yeah, some characters, like if you play an Adele or something, if you're strong enough, maybe just a Ruin that fully hits, and like a Noble Summons and a Blue might already kill some bosses if you're funded high enough with that one. And then you kind of become like a 1-minute class. But then you go to the downside of that those skills can miss very easily, so now your timing has to be very tight in terms of knowing the boss's movement patterns and that kind of thing. Alright, anything else for bossing mules? You had any questions on?
No, I think I'm good with that.
Okay. Bossing, solo boss, threshold, and BM. So I did update the dailies command quite a bit, because I started getting confused on the requirements for all the bosses. Because I had this tab before, and I had a lot of information here, like the crystal value and all of the drops for all the bosses, but the crystal value are all in game, and you can just, you know, read them, so I thought that was a little bit superfluous. And all of the drops in game, all of the relevant ones are like in the guide now, right? So a lot of that is also just not necessary anymore. So what I recently added was the entry level, the content level, and then the arcane and sacred needed to do 100% damage. The reason I did that is because they started lowering the levels of like easy versions, and they also had like easy, normal, hard, and sometimes extreme versions of bosses, and I was just mixing everything up. People would be asking like, how much do you need for this one? I'd say like, I don't know. There's just so many numbers. So now I just put it here so people can just look it up themselves. Or I had like linked, you know, to like the wiki page already, where you could technically like find it all, but I thought it was just better to have it all on one page. So this is connected to and the secondary thing was that for other games, typically what is the entry level, the content level, and what level you're advised to be is pretty much all the exact same level, and it's way more intuitive. And for MapleStory, it just is not, right? Like you can unlock like CRA is in a level 125 area, but they are level 180. Or you have to be level 180, but they are level 190, but you should probably be level 210 because the drops are level 150. And it's like a new person coming in is like, what is going on here? Like,
Yeah.
Everything seems so disconnected, and it kind of is. Like we've grown with the game, so it's kind of like normal for us, but it's not really normal. So hopefully that was like helping people as well. And then also as a little bit of extra information, this is more like an extra foundation to this. So this has all the content in the game that I think is worth looking at various points in time, and then the blue area being, I think it's worth your time to at least check it out. Again, if you don't want to do it, don't do it, and if you want to do other stuff, do the other stuff. But this is if you're like lost or you want to have some starting point, this is a starting point that I have. So there'll be some class difference, there'll be some account difference, but generally it's pretty tightly knit. So you would be in this area here in mid game. So according to my stuff, that means you're like starting in the area with Hotel Arcus Daily. You're doing those, right?
Yep.
And then Chaos Gloom and Chaos Darknell, running those. And then the Odium Daily and then Black Mage is like the next stuff
step up.
in the 270s. Yeah. So I don't think you see anything here. I guess Hard Vihilla is one, but it's really close, right? So you just haven't done the clear
Hard
yet.
Vihilla is behind them?
I would say so, but that's because of healing fams. It's actually becomes easier for us to.
It's just funny because that's the one I'm not clearing, and then the other two.
But it is really close, right? It's not like Hard Vihilla is like over here and you can't kill it, right? Like all the because it's like Gloom, Darknell, normal
the
Vihilla.
Hard Vihilla thing isn't. It's not really a damage issue. It's more of a skill issue with the boss mechanics.
And Sea Slime. Are you running that one as well?
Yeah, I'm doing slime every week. No ring though.
No ring. Oh, rip. But Hard Vihilla, the thing is that, especially if you do pickup groups, I don't know if you have like a static party. I would start working towards the static party for that. A lot of pickup groups just want to sit in the corner and then just do all the things there. And it's really easy to die out that way because it's shit.
If you don't have the damage to like kill it
exactly. Yeah, because she does like the green and the purple swipes. And if you fight her in the corner, you have no place to dodge that, and you can't see anything. Yeah, so you want to fight her in the middle, so you have more space, you have more visibility, because we already lose a lot of visibility as Cannoneers, right? All of the explosions and stuff going around, you can do all of the boss outline and all of the character outline that you want, but still a whole bunch of stuff is obscured. And sure, you won't get hit by the threads, but you get by literally everything else, and they just die out on lives. And then when a bunch of people die out on lives, then you can't cleanse anymore, so every single red skull that you end up getting immediately becomes a gray skull as well. So it's very easy for that to just fail miserably. So I think it's fine for your first burst, or maybe your first 2 bursts or something to like be in the corner. But when your main thing of your bursting is over, you want to get the fuck out of the corner and fight it in the middle of the map. And everyone needs to do that. And I understand that for some people, if you're strong enough with like 2 or 3 people, you can nuke it in the corner, and that's great. But you need to learn to like see boss patterns, dodge attacks, do a lot of those things at once, because not only is that really good prep for other bosses in Tenebris to start soloing those, but if you're going to start doing like Saren and Kalos and Kaling, like those bosses, they're only going to get more complicated. So the better you get at the bosses below it, the more you'll be ready as well to start immediately tackling those bosses and just have a more solid foundation to start doing those bosses when you get to the levels that you can do those things.
Okay. And so for Hill, I should definitely I should keep trying with hard, not just go into normal mode.
Normal can also have some nice drops. So if you have like some people and you're trying to do hard, but you guys can't clear it, or you try like 3 runs, I don't know like how hardcore you are, you could still go into normal and then still clear it for the end of the day, for example, if you still want to clear for the week, like on a Wednesday. But I would try to do hard, because as long as everyone has like 1 healing fam, or some people have 2, the boss will be like the poison clouds. You don't have to respect them as much. The poison on the ground. The hitbox of them looks really big, but it's not that big. You can stand really close to it without getting hit. You just have to, and it's just difficult sometimes to see the threads while she's attacking and while there's poison. Then it can be tricky, and then you get hit. But that's why it's better to have a static party, or to be with your guild, something like that, to be in voice comms and be like, oh, I'm down to 3 or something. Because if you have to type that out while you're typing that, you're getting hit again. Now you're down to 2. Now like one thing goes wrong, and then you die out, right? So it's a combination of so many things, and I think if the people in the party are just trying to like sit in the corner and nuke it because they don't want to learn the boss fight, I think that's cool for them, but you have to be also okay with that. And if you're doing a pickup group, that's like 95% of the parties that I've seen for Vihilla. You just type A for cleanse. Okay. Every party is different though. Like some parties, it's probably a good thing when you're going in to just kind of check like what are we doing, like what's the game plan here, and if it's not up to your liking, that you then you can just dip out. But yeah, I've had my runs like that, and it's not great. But yeah, it's around the same area, so some of them you're gonna have more trouble with, and some you're gonna pick up a little bit faster. Yeah. So yeah, so that's like the general progress, and then Black Mage. Yeah, it's just that Black Mage, the most important stage is level 275. So you're not really expected to really be able to start running those under 270 because you just have way too much damage reduction. So even like practicing it and stuff below 270 is going to be very different. Like a lot of it will come down to how long can you be in the boss fight. Of course, like ideally you have to be able to run out the clock and be in there forever and just live. But reality is just that the shorter the boss fight is, the fewer shitty patterns you can get that are more likely to kill you, and the more likely you are to survive. You know, that's just the logic of it. But a lot of it is P1. You really just have to nuke out of P1 because P1 can get very, very sloppy very quickly. And no one really wants to be in there longer than they absolutely have to. So you want to be able to be strong enough to do that. Hopefully the change from Korea comes soon. I don't remember if it's part of Dreamer, but they did have the changes where if you do practice mode, that you can put on all the buffs that you have access to.
I did hear about that.
Yeah, but you get like a practice mode version, so if you go out, they disappear again, but you never have to use the actual thing, so they don't go on cooldown. So that can help you simulate more closely what the real boss run would look like if you were to run with all your buffs on. So that'll be a cool addition.
Like the 270 range, is that like where I could start looking to like join practice parties?
I would say so, yeah. Once you and then first runs will be absolute shit shows, and that's how it should be, I think. But the part 1, as long as you have the damage, you'll get through that pretty quickly. Part 2, there's just a lot of stuff going on. And definitely look at some stuff. We got a Black Mage guide that some people made that's still very useful. Maybe checking out another run or two. I did a run today on my Cannoneer, so you can kind of look at what I purely did surviving though, and just positioning and dodging stuff. But honestly, I think for most boss fights, that's a really good start, is to learn to dodge the things, right? Especially
that's kind of where I'm at with Dark now. It's like I get my 5% in as fast as possible, and then I just don't hit him for the rest of the fight.
Try to upkeep. Yeah, because I mean, if you can survive the whole boss fight, now you can start seeing opportunities where you have a lot of extra room. And then you can use those opportunities to start damaging. That's all I always used to say on Vellum, but my age is showing a little bit, because that boss just means if you can't kill it, just train for one more day and then you can nuke it, right? But back in the day, it was like, just if you're just dying out on Vellum, try to go into Vellum and just run out the clock first, and just not die out. If you can do that, then you can start seeing where you have the extra space and the opportunity, and then you're probably going to go full on damage, feeling like I can, I'm king of the world, and then you're probably going to end up dying out again. But you'll get closer and closer to like, where do I need to respect the boss, and where can I just fuck him up, and that will start overlapping more and more. And then, that's when, even if you don't really upgrade, you start killing the boss just way faster once you start making that connection. But yeah, Black Mage is, it's a huge learning curve. For phase 1, honestly, if it goes well, maybe 1 or 2 runs, as long as the person who's setting up the bind properly gets their bind off, probably will go pretty smoothly with, all of the origin skills and how strong everyone is. The main thing with P1 that you have to learn if you're learning it with a static party is like, how much of our burst do we need to get out, and you use roughly that amount, so that in case something goes poorly, someone can throw a little bit extra in, and if it goes well, people can hold their damage and immediately throw it at P2, so that P2 goes a little bit faster. And if possible, you start staggering your origins a little bit so that you have optimal bound boss time. But P2 for most people is like 5 to 6 runs to really start getting the hang of that. You still die every now and then, that's totally normal. Start using your will skills more, right? Your hero's will and your Urda's will, in case there's a oh shit situation, you don't have an iframe. But as a Cannoneer, you're going to have your iframe a lot of the time. Once you start getting better with the mechanics, you'll basically only use it when there's an oh fuck moment. You just, charge your nuclear option and you just jump through all of the danger, and everyone else is super jealous. Because one thing that happens is people learn how to dodge certain things, but then they respect the attacks a bit too much. And then because they do that, they work themselves into a corner where they think it's super safe, but then if you have a bad pattern, everything's still going to kill you there because there's just too much coming together. Ideally, what you want to do in P2 is try to take all the damaging patterns one at a time, and then they're really easy. But as soon as they start overlapping, it becomes exponentially harder. So you'll you'll learn that sometimes what seems like the safe option actually ends up being more dangerous because of your positioning, and what feels a bit more dangerous, like walking into the open field where all the damage is happening, can actually be safer, because then you can take patterns one at a time and they become way more manageable. But yeah, that's practice, and it's 270 plus. But hopefully they'll just be open parties with
yeah,
people
whenever
with
I'm
some
looking
experience.
like for
But
Cross Recruiter, there's always like Black Mage practice listed there. So
I've seen Smegas really often, and yeah, as long as people are just like not too judgmental, hopefully people go into a Discord and communicate, because it's good to just learn from each other as well, that someone just did something and like, oh, this works, or something that I tried this and that doesn't work
I would
at
hope
all.
people don't get too mad during practice, but you never know with MapleStory players.
Yeah, I mean, people can get triggered by stuff, can get tilted. I would just constantly be on the lookout though during these runs and see if there's someone that you can kind of like connect with and be like, hey, this person is kind of like on the same wavelength as I am with this stuff. And then maybe add to the buddy list and something, so you can have some kind of foundation of working towards the static party. Like you find a guildie, he finds a guildie, suddenly you have 4 people, now you only need 2 fills, you know? So
yeah, so I guess my goal with it should just be, as soon as I can start practice, do that, so that right when I'm at the point where I'm comfortable or strong enough, I can just do an actual clear and get the lib process going.
Yeah, I think it's fine if you kind of get like semi-carried through to like your first run, but a month later, by the time it's your second run, you'd want to be like a full-fledged damage dealer and be green and you know, do it for yourself, I think. Especially on your first character. Like, I'm living character like 3 now. Like, that one is just like exchange carrying with other people, because I'm like, yeah, I've been there, done that. Like, I don't need to do the whole thing again, because it's such a long process, you know. So the sooner you start, the sooner you're done. It's an 8-month process now. So even if you start clearing in March, you'll be done in November, right? It's like,
yeah,
fucking brutal. Or October, November, yeah. Yeah, it's just you're gonna feel it as well. I learned very slowly, so I had to be very, very patient with practice. Also, back when I started, you needed a key every single time for an entry to practice, because we didn't have practice mode. So that was
that's rough.
That made people also more on edge and be a little bit more aggressive towards each other, because if someone then learns really slowly, and it takes you like 20 entries to start getting P3 down, and then people start running out of keys, and it's like, well, I could have already been yeah. So that pressure being gone is way healthier, I think, for the overall process. And just because of Origin, way more people get there faster, so people during runs, people are okay with people just hard inting and throwing, because we've all been there, and we're not expecting people to be perfect on like run number 3. So I think that's, in general, that's healthy. All right. Any other questions on this topic? What else did you have written down? Yeah, good. BM, solo, yeah. So I think solo just comes when your duo or trio runs are really, really, really fast. And you can just like try a solo. Sometimes maybe in practice mode, you just try one and just see how fast it is.
Yeah, I'm definitely, practice mode is what I'll have to just go for when I think it's time to like trio or duo. You know, Gloom. Gloom is probably the next step. Trio Gloom.
Yeah, and it's just manageable, right? Ever since they took away the balls falling during darkness and they showed the balls on top of the map, Gloom became way more manageable. Dark now as well, with the showing when the balls fall on the top, there's just still a lot of RNG to work through because of the knights, right, that show up everywhere. I don't know, in general, just like as tips, I guess, for all the boss fight, is just use the hell out of your blink. It's really, once you start going to Tenebris, and especially once you go, you know, Black Mage and the bosses after that, going in the air and blinking and just floating around for a bit over certain attacks, abuse the hell out of that, because...
Yeah, we can get really high on Cannoneer.
Yeah, exactly. Just verticality, because if you don't use that, you're basically playing a one-dimensional game, right? And many other MMOs, like 3D MMOs, are also kind of two-dimensional, because most of the time they don't jump too much or duck too much. They just walk in a plane, right? So our plane is our screen, so we have to use that vertical dimension to dodge things. And once you get better at that, use a little back shot sometimes, right? Use a double up jump, maybe the triple up jump from the ground. I don't use that one, because I'm just not good enough for that stuff. You know about that, right? You can up jump from the ground, and then you can do 3.
Just like pressing the key down, the key?
Yeah, well, I always jump and then do 2 more up jumps.
Oh,
Right,
no,
up,
I have
up.
it on. I have it on shift, and I just click on it to go up.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But then you could do 3, right, if you do it from the ground.
Yeah, you can do 3.
Yeah, and your little back shot, and honestly, you're going to use your iframe quite a lot because it's 30 seconds off. So, but don't just use it to get out of danger, but also use it to get out of danger and then reposition to safer, right? And the will skills as well in like Darkanel, very useful to just block incoming status if you do get hit by a ball that's coming from the sky. So like the stun, the blind, the seal, all of that stuff. You should be getting hit, less and less as you go on. But use the will skill if it does look like you're going to get hit, or right after you get hit, just to cleanse it and get out of the way, so that you don't spend too much time not being able to dodge or having just another thing occupying your brain, like, oh shit, I have to, keep in mind that if I hit now, it's all going to miss because I'm blinded or whatever. Because that's a horrible thing about Cannoneer, right? You can put out your damage and then you get blinded or sealed afterwards, and then all of it misses, and it's like, where's the realism in this? Like, you shoot a gun, you close your eyes, and now your bullet goes through everything. Like, is that how real life goes? But yeah, that's just a decision that they made. So, and I think making that brain connection as well with the will skill and blink and knowing exactly where that is and using that quickly, that's going to help a lot with Black Mage.
Okay.
So that's good, like muscle memory prep to do as well. Okay, Legion. Boss Mule choices.
I think, we already went through that.
Raid power for coin generation. Yeah, I don't know if you have specific coin questions.
I guess so. In one of the other sessions that I watched, you were saying that like on the double star events, just get 10 stars on like the random guys, and that makes it pretty significant.
Yeah,
that makes a significant difference.
I would say so, but definitely focus on levels like over Starforce all the time until they're like 200, because then leveling past that is mostly going to be, you're going to just be leveling selective characters and not like across the board usually. So past that point, you definitely
I have
get
mostly
returns.
200s on the board, so I think with levels I'm pretty straight.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, if you're over 8k, then you're definitely at that point where. So I would just do like maybe some daily bosses here and there, just to try to get them some accessories, to try to like fill up the slots a little bit, so that when event comes around, you can just like tap it all up to 12 for half money, because it's like 1-to-1 up to 10, but the 10 to 12 still works within that event as well, so you can get to 12 for half money, and that'll just make the it's not gonna like double their raid power. But even if it's like 10 or 20% extra across the board for like 30 extra characters,
36 characters.
Yeah, it's very cheap, and it's just because you can never have too many Legion coins. You will, you're
getting something that like resembles money from doing those daily bosses anyway. So,
it's a good investment because it'll. Yeah,
okay. Maybe I'll start doing a few of those every week.
Yeah, if you do that, if you spread it over time, so you don't have like, oh, this week, because the event is coming, and then this week I have to do all 30 characters, so like 4 day. Yeah, if you just slowly do it here and there, you'll get those drops. Okay, and then we get to the gear. No other questions before the gear?
No, I think the gear is honestly a lot of the questions that I have, because there's just so many routes to take with it.
Yeah. I did see one thing that I definitely wanted to double check on. Do you have an earring with drop rate?
Oh, did I not put it on? Let me see. I have the earring, the it's on there, the double meso earring.
Yeah, but you don't have one with drop rate, right?
No.
Because you do have one item with double drop, being your ring.
Yeah.
But drop rate stacks up to 200%, right? 10 lines. So you'd want to have all of them have at least one line, and then one have 2 lines. So you can still do with another earring with drop rate, and then you'd have max drop rate when you're like opening boxes and stuff for.
Oh, but without meso.
Without meso, yeah.
Oh yeah. So I do have I usually use I put 3 pendants on. I mostly use the greed pendant, but with the greed pendant, that puts me up to 200, right?
Well, no, because that's equipment only, so that's calculated differently. So that doesn't go into the 20. If you equip it, you will see that your drop rate in game in your stat window doesn't go up by 40. It only goes up by 20.
Okay. So I should basically just get an earring with 1 line of drop.
Yeah, I will get an earring with 1 line of drop just to make just increase your chances for all the boss drops.
Okay.
Essentially.
I think I have like a horntail earring at unique, so it wouldn't be that expensive.
Easy, yeah. Just for long term, just for like ring boxes and everything, right?
Yeah, I didn't really know exactly how the greed pendant works, but I figured that when I'm like going for equipment drops, I'm at the
Well,
the only way for
I don't
me
know if
to
anyone
get to
knows
200
surely how greed pendant works because it's like equipment only. Someone would have to like dig into the code to really see how it works, or if it even does anything.
To hit 200, I just need to get a double drop, and at that point, I feel like I'm more likely just gonna get like 2 hybrids before I even see a double drop.
Yeah, well, you have a double drop, right? You've got the
So right now to have full miso and drop, I just need a double drop, and then I'll be at
gotcha
200.
Yeah. To be 100, 200. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at 180 right now, so I just need to turn one of the singles.
Exactly. Like you said, you'll be more likely to see 2 hybrids and then do it that way. But it's kind of near. I think we'll be pretty likely to, even with that kind of stuff and not getting too much stat from your gear, you'll be able to keep killing in Grandis quite well, right? Because the summons quite a few times.
I have my drop gear is all like pretty weak, and I'm not having too much issues like with my damage.
That's good. Yeah, I still have plenty of space to grow with the other stuff. Like not full arcane yet, and that can all walk up to 19 pretty cheaply. Eventually, of course, like not immediately.
Yeah, I just need the shoulder, and then the problem with it, because I have so many gains to make just from star forcing. But every time an event comes around, or every time I'm saving, I just get something new. I get a new arcane piece. I never get to go past like 17, 18, because whenever I finally have money saved, I get a new piece that I have to get up.
Well, that chapter is closing soon.
It's almost over. Yeah, I just need the shoulder and the Twilight mark, and then I'm done for now.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
and the slime ring. And the slime ring.
Slime ring.
I'm using this continuous too.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it's like it's not horrible, but it's
so what I'm trying to decide is whether the continuous 2, or I have the 1 drop ring that's drop and 2 lines of stat, like the event ring. But I think continuous 2 is giving me more damage, to be honest.
Most likely, yeah. The best way to test is to just do this one. I did see that like everything has a line of strength, or even 2, even like the hybrids, a lot of them have strength on it, so that's a really solid foundational, like all stat and strength here, yeah. So that's definitely really nice. The way to be really sure is just to do battle analysis in the fog forest. Yeah, after behind the dojo, and just do like a full rotation with 1 ring over the other, and just see how big the difference is.
Yeah, I haven't done dojo, so I don't even have that unlocked. So I definitely need to.
Yeah, you have to do 430, I think.
But I think I've done like a culvert with the continuous ring and a culvert without it, and the continuous ring was better because it's like I think it's 60 boss and like 6% attack.
Other classes have to look out a lot to make sure that all of the damage is being like dealt during the ring and not off.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a ring 2, the uptime is already like pretty low, so the chance that you hit it or miss it is pretty much the same. And the damage for Cannoneer is just so constant that it almost doesn't really matter when you press it, because half is going to hit during the ring, half is going to hit off the ring anyway.
Yeah.
It's more when you get like a 3 or a 4 that you want to time it a little bit better to make sure that most of the all of the bullet bills start hitting like the first second or 2 of the ring, so that all of the damage gets in before the ring ends. It'll be a little bit more precise on that. Yeah, I imagine the continuous 2 is better. But that's kind of like upside and the downside is that continuous 4 is really nice, especially if you're just doing weekly bosses and you're cycling through everything. But if you're doing like specific bosses and you got to do like burst rotations, then you also want to get like weapon jump 4 and roar 4 to be able to switch between that on more.
I'm hoping I find a good ring eventually. I got a risk taker 4 last week. It was really sad.
Nice. Yeah. I got one today. I got 2 red boxes.
I don't know if that's not usable, right? The risk taker.
So some people use it in dojo. As you get access to like Jenny iframe origin skill, like that immunes you for a longer time. So you could realistically get more of the damage. Honestly, you could try if you bind the boss and there's no other damage going on, then activate the ring and then use your origin. It'd probably be quite good because it's
I could probably like juice up a culvert with it maybe.
Yeah, like at the end, you just have to know exactly for the Cannoneer like what puts you in combat and what doesn't. But if you bind the boss, you can you know, you can get rid of the damage from the culvert for quite a bit. Switch it to ring and then do like your origin at the end. You'll see quite a bit extra damage because it is 50% attack on the risk 4. Or not risk. What's the ring? I keep forgetting the name of the ring. Risk taker. Risk taker.
Risk taker.
Because everything is like and it's like 3 things. So I'm trying. My brain is like on 3 things. It's like it's not 3 things. Risk taker. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I imagine it gives you a nice little chunk on that, so that you can at least feel like you made some progress and you got some value going. And then every week after that, you have to do the exact same way because you can't go down and call for score ever, right?
Yeah.
That's a downside. Okay, so the drop rate stuff, that's easy to fix. And then the full set, yeah, you'll probably end up with 2 hybrids. If you're going for that full move, though, then it might be the question of, do you try to go for the 2 hybrids on your current gear? Or do you make other upgrades and other accessories by then, which open up stronger pieces to become that gear? Because that's
so what my plan is for the drop is the the flame ring, the one that's drop and 2-line strength. I'm just throwing red cubes on that, or whatever, black cubes. So if that hits hybrid, I'll go for another hybrid. If it hits double drop, good, I'm done. That's where I'm at.
Okay. Sounds reasonable, yeah. Because that can be a part of whatever later set happens anyway.
And then, so the main thing is with where my money should go is between Star Force and then like that. So cubing that item and cubing glove. Those are like the only 2 things that I need to cube. Because everything else is like 2-line legendary or better, and I'm not gonna push those until I'm at like 21.
Is nice right now, but because the V matrix is so big, all of the decent skills on gloves kind of died because you just have the room anyway.
Yeah, I had like crit damage and 2-line strength on my Abso, but I mean this is obviously better, and I'm 4 set, so
definitely.
It's just I don't know how much it's gonna take a bit of money to get it where it needs to the 2-line, but.
Yeah, 2-line crit damage is I think 7 or 8 bill on average. It's not too bad. I mean, it's a project and it's an expense for sure, but it's worth the money. Yeah. Because of how much stat it's equivalent to.
And then, so I know for Star Forcing, it's definitely gonna be CRA first, and then and then I have spares for countering, Dom Pendant, and Belt. I only have 1 earring spare, so earring's probably gonna wait.
Yeah, so what I did on my Cannoneer, I had like 1 backup there as well. So what I did was, fodder up to, fodder.
I have fodder, like infinite fodder as well, outside of just the spares.
Okay. Well, okay, right. So like kind of treasure rings, that's all you have, right?
Oh yeah. I mean just specifically
like spares and
for
fodder in 1,
earring.
right? Yeah. Okay.
Belt and earring, I have fodder.
Yeah, so the main reasoning behind all of it is what is the highest chance. First of all, you want to make the upgrades functional, right? And then second is what is the highest chance of the closest to quote unquote guaranteeing that you end up making an upgrade and you don't end up making a net 0 or a loss, right? Yeah. So the best way to do that is by having money. Is by doing it during an event and by having a lot of backups so that in case anything goes wrong, you can replace them. So that's why CRA gets to the top, because you can have the most backups, right? And because you're transferring the trace over anyway. So that makes sense that CRA is first. So even up to 19, probably all the way up to 21, CRA will just win there. So I would go 19 first. If you get all 3 19, that's cool. Then walk one at a time up to 21, because 20 to 21 is less efficient than 19 to 20, right? Because it can't drop at 20 anymore. So that might be already a whole event for you, and then you might not end up with
I don't get very lucky with the stars. On the 30%, I put 5 bill into my boots, and I got -1 star from 16 to 15. So
lovely, yeah. There's gonna be events like that, right? So you always want to look big picture because there's gonna be shitty events out there.
Yeah, I don't get too depressed. I honestly like cubing more. So if I have a bad Star Force, I'm like, whatever, I'll cube a little bit, and then. Even though I know it's not the most efficient gains of the moment.
Well, if you're doing bright cubes on something that's gonna have to go there anyway, then at least you're making sure that you have the quantifier of like at least not making a loss there, right? Like a loss in meso, but at least you don't go back in damage. So basically, once those those CRA projects at that point are done, What then becomes very efficient is walking your typically your superior up, and then typically the belt and the E-ring first, like you identified.
So I know that
depend on your backups, basically how you go about that.
Yeah, because I know foddering is like a lot safer. But I mean, like I have the belt already 18, and I have 2 spares, so I'm wondering if the belt is going to be more efficient just to tap it like raw.
Yeah, 2 is a little bit in between. I would say if you have 1, that pretty much that gives you like the opening to do like 21 fodder into 20 and then try to tap it. And then if it doesn't go, you can keep your current one. So what I did on my Cannoneer was make 21 fodder, tap it into a new 20, not into my existing one, but into a new one, and then try to tap that one to 21. Because my logic was, if that goes, I have a big enough upgrade that I can tell myself it's worth investing in that. And if it doesn't go, I don't have to remake an existing one back up to 17, but I already have a 17.
So I would just cube the new one, basically, if I hit 21?
If you hit 21, yeah. If
sense.
by that time somehow you get luckier, right? If it takes some time and you have like 4 or 5 belts, then I would do what you're saying and probably just try to tap on the belt itself, because now the odds of hitting 20 or 21 on the superior belt without having to fodder over increases dramatically, and that will make that cheaper than foddering over.
Okay.
Because every time you fodder, you lose an extra star, right? You're basically paying an extra star for the guarantee of not having to like boom your target item. And then if you go down to like, if it doesn't happen and you go down to like 2, you can always fall back on the strategy that I just mentioned.
Okay. And then so with
an E-ring would be the same. So if you end up with 1 or 2, you can do like safer approach. If you have like 3 or 4 or 5, you can try, be a little bit ballsy first. And if it goes, then you save yourself a lot of money, and then you have backups for 22. If it doesn't go, you can always go to safer route.
So like 3, 4, 5 is where I should be expecting I can hit like a 21.
I would say so. I mean, I look at the calculator a lot, and a lot of times the average booms is like between like 1.5 and 2, I believe. So as soon as you have 3, there's like a good chance, but there's also a really good chance that you don't hit. So, like 150, multiplicative, would safeguard, 17 star, 21. Oh yeah, that's always 5 to 15, by the way. Just if you were choosing to maybe not safeguard, then you could do 30% off. It's about the same or even a bit cheaper. So for CRA, a lot of people will use 30% off eventually if you have a lot of backups. But if you're going to safeguard, then always 5, 10, 15, because that just saves you so much money compared to 30% off.
Yeah, I know.
Or shining if you can.
It's a lot better.
Yeah. So like, medium booms is 1, but then average is 1.25, and a 75% chance within 2 booms. But within 2 booms means 3 total items, and then you have 85% chance within 3 booms within 4 total items. So then that gets pretty safe. But then 95% chance within 5 booms. So then you need 6. So that's kind of like where those numbers are coming from in terms of.
I think I should be pretty good, just because like by the time I finish CRA, if I'm keeping the pace, I'm gonna have like 4 Kana rings, 4 Doms, 4 belts.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still a ways off before I finish CRA.
Yeah, and people get demotivated because like, I don't have any backups on this yet. But it's like, well, just start with the projects that you can do that are reasonable, and then when you get
my drop is pretty good, so I do I see the stuff more often than not.
That's why I also wanted to mention the 20% drop, because the sooner you get that done, the better you set yourself up to just having more opportunities. Because what could happen next is that you don't see another belt, but maybe by next event you have like 9 or 10 Kana treasure rings. Well, now that'll shift your priority. Now you probably want to try for 21 Kana treasure ring first, and if you get that quickly and you have backups, you can make another 21, and you can transfer that into your ring, and then maybe you get a 20-star superior ring before you even go for 20 on the E-rings, for example, right? But someone who gets 1 belt drop and they get 8 E-ring drops, well, they're going to go for their E-ring first. So whatever you get as backups will determine slightly like repositioning where your projects will go, and the way to maximize that is to just have that foundation for your drop rate, and you already have your large drop. For a lot of people, that's still not done yet at this point, so that's already
I didn't get it until 265. It was
a
lot of epics.
but that's great. And then the full drop rate that you can, you're already super close. You can have that done by the end of today, right? So that's done.
Yep.
And then the other thing is setting up the Legion to get the drop coupons in. So once you have that foundation done, you're setting yourself up for backups. Then all you need to do is make the money. So we already talked about like balance between bossing mules and between the grinding. So you've got that set up. And then it's just about waiting for events. Some people hate waiting for events and they want to tap off event. Honestly, if you want to, you can do that. I just see events more like a an inorganic, organic growth thing, because I know that it's going to take a long time to at the whole, it's going to take a long time to be done with things. The only benefit about finishing projects like a little bit early is that you can maybe cut the dailies or the weeklies out of your schedule. That's like, I would say that's the one big benefit. But outside from that, as a whole, it's just always going to probably take you longer to get done. Because you're just going to need more money on average because you're doing it off event versus on event. Unless something comes out and saying that they rigged the numbers during events and everything like that. But anyway, aside from any possible scandals, so if there's no event, I feel good that I can just focus on making money and making EXP and just grinding. And then when an event comes around, then it could be like, oh, okay, what character is not at a positioning where I want it to be? Can it get to where I want it to be with the backups that I have? No. Okay, which characters can? Okay, which projects can I do here? And then I look at the calculator like, okay, what are the averages? What is the expected? What can I reasonably expect during that event? And then I try to do those things on the event. That's basically the whole process. But those are the next ones. I mean, you probably get the shoulder just before, right? And then want to do the shoulder, and then you do.
Yeah.
Maybe you have enough money to get like 19 arcanes and the shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah. Worst case, I get it in 2 weeks off droplets. But yeah, the way I look at it, I'm probably not going to spend off event because it's like off event and I have 10 bill and I look at my gear. I'm not seeing gains. I'm seeing like how many stars can I lose in 10 bill.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
With these 18s.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're making like 20 bill a week and you got like 80 bill and you get like a arcane box and you have full 17s and you want to see if you can tap some 18s, right, off event, so you don't have to open the box yet, that's something that you can start doing. But you will know when you can start doing that. Because you'll have to see that money in the bank to know that that's something that's viable for you. For most people, that's not viable for a long time. It makes more sense to just pick a backup for an armor and then just wait until everything else is basically like 21 and then go to like 17 plus on the arcanes. It's gonna be a lot sooner than you think because you're like, oh, I'm barely getting them now, but all the other stuff like up to 21 and up to 20, that's gonna go reasonably fast if you have your foundation and you're using those events and everything. And then the jump from 17 to 19 arcanes that's really going to solidify your damage in that stage, and also again take a little bit of pressure off of the drop rate mesogear stuff, right? So you can keep killing monsters in the map.
And then I guess the last thing with the gear is, so I basically shouldn't even like be thinking about 3-line until after I'm like full 21.
Essentially, yeah. The only thing you want to think about is the glove, right? Getting that to the double critical damage, and then maybe the WSE if it's horrible. I think
my WSE is I'm not expecting to make gains very easily with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the IED, your IED is a bit high. Well, I saw that your hyperstat IED was a little bit low because you have high IED because you have IED on your weapon now, right?
Yeah. The weapon and secondary, I got hit both of those in 8 blue cubes, so I just kind of was like, alright, I'm not going to spend on those.
Yeah.
But I could definitely improve the weapon. I think the secondary is good, and the emblem, I don't know. I don't know how the emblem's not going to get better anytime soon.
So, really, the question is, could you switch the IED to be on your emblem instead, and then the damage be a boss damage line on the weapon instead? That would be like the most budget solution to kind of like swap over the functionality and make, because the 12% damage is essentially like, a third of a boss damage line on your weapon.
Yeah.
So it's like
I don't really need the IED on the weapon. It's just, I just hit that and I was like,
without,
Yeah. That could be, I'm not really hurting for IED whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. So the question doesn't become like, do I have enough IED? But if I were to lose this IED, would I get in trouble? That's kind of the question. And as soon as the answer to that question is no, then you know you have like free reign to start re-rolling.
Okay.
So, but yeah, you got some other projects going. If this was like my my secondary or my tertiary character, I would be like over the moon with his WSE. If it was like my main, then it would definitely be like after everything is like 21 and you're starting to work on like arcanes would be like 17 to 19 is kind of like the next thing. Or maybe one item isn't 21 yet, right? Maybe a Twilight Mark hasn't hit yet, or Slime Ring, you don't have enough backups yet, right? Maybe that's still at 17. That's fine. But around that time is probably when you want to start looking back on cubing for sure. The glove is probably a little bit before that, but then the WSCs probably comes into play at that point. So if there's an event where you can get like another emblem or something, I would get it on this guy and then just roll that on
like
the
the
side.
legendary emblem.
Yeah. Don't get baited into like using it on the boss mule to save yourself a bill. Use it on this thing and save yourself like 20 bill, right?
Yeah, that's
gonna
what I was
be
doing
more
with the secondary, and then
exactly.
I finally hit this one.
Yeah, I've got almost the same thing on like another secondary that I was rolling on my Cannoneer as well. I had like the 12-9 with a 35 boss on the top line from just like spare cubes on the side. I was like, oh, yep, pack it up, we're done here. And recently my emblem on my hero hit like a triple attack from the side cubes as well. And that's like the value that you get from your account and from boss mules. Once that start building up, you just get more of those free rolls as well that can hit. But yeah, again, like this is a very solid WSE. But probably, I don't know, like by the time you get like into like the Black Mage and like the real runs there, probably around there is probably, or maybe for your second run or something, it's probably around the time where you wanna optimize it a little bit more. People tend to not want to go and touch their weapon too much, especially once they start liberating. But even if you just start liberating, you're gonna have that weapon like for another 7 months. So
yeah, I think I'm gonna have it with me at least at least like 9-10 months. Like
exactly. So it's still got to be worth that money. And I think
people
like
always say like to just leave the weapon, the arcane weapon, and I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. I play every day and I'm using this weapon for like a year.
Probably by that time you're gonna also have like 6 or 7 just like weapon backups in your inventory. So you're gonna walk it up to 19, and if you have a lot of backups, maybe even up to 21. A lot of people keep their weapon like 17 or 18. But I feel like that basically means that you're okay getting like a little bit carried on those runs, because you want to make those, you want to get towards those solo C10As, you want to make those runs a little bit faster as well. So it's going to help you in the entire game anyway. So I have like 19 on my Cannoneer because I'm already pretty far into Liberation. But like my Marksman and my Hero who haven't even started libbing yet, they have 21 weapons. Just because that opportunity ends up just presenting itself once you have 7 backups. You don't even safeguard at that point, you know, because you save money. You just like blow through the backups to free up your inventory space essentially. And I would say like right after the emblem and possibly the weapon. So it depends a little bit on the outcome. I think at this point you probably re-roll the weapon first, try to get like 2 attack 1 line boss, and then depending on how that hits, you could see if you can either have another emblem on the side or mass roll on the emblem. See if you can hit like 21 attack with 30 IED. Not because you need the IED, but because that's still valuable. And that will allow you to maybe not go as hard in IED in some other sources. Or if you do end up going for bossing FAMs, that you don't need the IED from the FAMs anymore. And you can easily switch out without needing anything there, right? And then you definitely would go to like your accessories to try to hit like 24s, 27s, 30% on like the level 160 plus stuff. And slowly start to get like 2.5 line on everything. But I would definitely, I would wait around cube sales for that. So that would be around anniversary, which is coming soon. So that's too early. And the next one probably like around like Black Friday. So like end of November.
Oh, there's a cube sale coming soon.
Most likely, we usually have 2 per year, like one around the anniversary, so like in May.
So that's some time. Well, I guess for this one, I'd probably just be going for glove and drop and finish that.
Yeah, glove and potentially some hybrids. Yeah, and then but mostly because your money's going to be tied up in Star Force for a while, but for good reason, because that's going to give you crazy gains.
Yeah, there's a lot of room.
Yeah, sometimes you're looking at someone else and like they have so much more stuff than me. How's that possible? Like my stuff is almost done, and then you think like, well, some stars here, some flames there, some potential there. It all adds up, you know.
So with flames, I basically shouldn't be spending any money ever. Just event flames.
Yeah, that's my general advice. Like,
Yeah,
as long
most
as
of my
your
flames
weapon,
are passable, but like
yeah,
the arcanes are new, so obviously like the arcanes, the weapon and boot
totally.
flames are good, but then
Yep.
the glove, like those
Well,
flames.
good is an understatement. That shoe glove is
Yeah, yeah.
extremely nice.
The shoe got everything I needed. Like
Yeah,
it got the potential, it got the flame.
yeah. I had a flame that's like 30 or so lower for like all the way until I passed 280 until I finally hit something. But I still don't have anything nearly as good as this. So, and that takes a little bit of the pressure of the other two arcane pieces as well, right? Like you spread that 40 extra flame score over the other two, and now everything has like 100. So it feels less bad. But yeah, just slowly walk them up, little by little. It's really, if you're talking about flaming, it's really just your weapon has to have a good flame, and it does.
Yeah.
It does
I think
have
my
a really
weapon
good
is
flame.
yeah, my weapon is pretty solid.
It's 3 tier 6s, so it's really
Yeah.
solid. So there's nothing to do there. It's all just like if you hit a pitch, you can, then that's like, can be priority. But again, for most people, by the time you get pitches and everything, all the other stuff is so high, you need to hit the Star Force anyway first before you can start using it. So
yeah, I think the
the
only
flames
pitch
are-
that I would use right now would be like a 17 eye patch, just because I don't even have Twilight Mark yet.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Berserk, you mean, right? The Berserk,
Yeah, but Berserk,
face.
Berserk now.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, the face.
Yeah, the face and the IR things you want to switch over. But again, when I see this mega and it's like a blown up pitch, but it has like 3-line and like a really good flame on it, I'm always like, I wish you hadn't like locked 18 bill worth of value in a trace in your inventory, right? That's so unfortunate. But people get things at different levels, but I think it's more like a difference in patience with things. But yeah, flames, yeah, it'll just be event flames and bossing flames and stuff, and they'll just slowly bring your arcanes up, and if you get a pitch, they'll go there. But you don't need to worry about anything else. Your CRA is fine too. Yeah, you've got attack on here, like the cup. The cup could probably get a little bit better, but hopefully you get a book soon. But you could flame another cup on the side to maybe get a little bit higher. Something
Yeah,
like
I do
around
have a cup
100.
on the side that I flame. They just the cup never really goes anywhere for me.
Yeah, I'd still prio the arcane because so in general you can just look at the progression grid. You can look at the values to kind of see just what has the biggest potential for improvement, right?
So right now with the arcanes, those two pieces, like I do have a few flames in my inventory, but I'm just like just I don't want to kind of flame those until I have like a good handful of flames.
Yeah, just
or is
wait
it worth it
until
just to risk it?
I would say wait until the first ones start blinking and start expiring, and then you'll have a little bit of a pack, and then you can use them all. And if you hit something that's close to what you had, or a little bit lower or a little bit higher, and you'll see that you're almost going to run out of flames, then pause and then just repeat basically. That way you minimize the chances in a flaming session that you end up having to settle, and you maximize the odds of making upgrades.
Okay.
Cup on the side. Yeah, so just look at what has the most room for improvement, right? So for the cup, you'd be at the lower end. The cup is at 15, like 87. So it's a little bit lower, but it's only like 8 off. But the CRA stuff is like around 80. So that has like 45 off. So that has much greater room for improvement with like similar value. So I would prioritize the arcane. But again, yeah, just free stuff and events and everything, yeah. You only really buy flames once you liberate and once you finish 22ing and a pitch, basically. That's when you buy flames. Other than that, not really necessary.
Alright, I think...
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's...
potentials.
I think mostly
rings.
everything in order.
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah, I
there's
think
any
all the
equips.
damage gear is at least 2-line.
Yeah, hit that 21. It's really cheap, and it's a really good value. You know the general order when it comes to cubing, right?
The order as far as like what I should cube?
Well, what has like the best odds for the same amount of money to give you good results when you're cubing when it comes to like for stat?
Oh, I'm not sure.
So the heart has the highest rates, so it has the least
because
amount
there's
of
no bad
jump points.
lines, right?
Yeah, the least amount of bad lines, exactly. So you get the best returns there. And then after that, it's the accessories. So like all of the, eye face, rings, all of that stuff. And then, then it gets dicey, but I believe then it is cape and shoe. then shoulder and pants, and then top, and then hat.
Okay.
But for a hat, you might. What do you? No, we don't need cooldown reduction. Unless you want to iframe all the time. I got a 6-second cooldown reduction. You're just iframing left, right, and center. That'd be cool if that would cut down the regeneration of the bullets or some stuff. That would be.
Yeah,
nice.
that would be interesting.
Nah, we don't need that. So, or maybe in like a try hard setup, but then by then you're going into Eternal, so then you can just re-roll your CRA hat to help you on your culvert setup. I don't know if you've ever looked into like try hard like culvert setups for certain classes, but they use like cooldown reduction hats and then prep buffs outside, so they can get them back faster and then switch back into the damage gear and then go in with like some damage going on, so that you can like blow through the first 4 bodies really quickly. So you can start hitting the higher scoring body a lot faster, and then your burst comes back up right before the end, and then you like do like a second nuke right before the end, and then they try to, like at what second do you need to press this buff, and then at what second do you need to attack so that lethal strike pops, so that it can come up at the right times to optimize your damage on the bot. Yeah. It's like a whole science. It's interesting. Well, that's why. Oh, I did want to mention that because you did say you did a culvert with one and a culvert with the other. Do beware that culvert might not necessarily be perfectly representative of damage, just like a BA might also not be, right? Because as a cannoneer, it is easy to dodge, to miss some damage. Yeah. What I've been doing on my cannoneer is basically just go for 100-second bursts. So basic max, not quite max my bind, but get it to like 24. Mm-hmm. And that way, that with the level up, you get it to like 103-second cooldown or something, and then with the Mercedes it goes just under 100 seconds, right? The 90 seconds in between the binds plus the 10-second of the bind, and then I just hold my other stuff, my 90-second stuff, a little bit longer. But then every 100 seconds I have a completely full burst.
Okay. Yeah, that was my last thing. Is just what. So with nodes, I should max my overdrive and the flag, right?
Yeah, those are the next on the list. Yeah,
and that's
especially because
I have like 400 nodes sitting, so I think I could max both of those, and then that's
you can get really close.
Basically it, right?
Yeah.
Well,
so
I guess I could do my secondary trios as well, the ones that are at 21.
They will just slowly level up as you open up nodes. It's probably not as important now. But I would primarily, craft overdrive because you have the arcane weapon, so that's going to scale quite nicely, and that goes up in time more and up in scaling. And then the flag goes up to 100% uptime, so extra stat, extra IED, that's always nice. After that, probably the goddess, right? That's a lot of stat, and since we're more DPM-y and it lasts a whole minute, that's actually really nice also for culvert and everything. The one you don't have in here at all, but the one that I mentioned earlier was the Urda's Will. You haven't been extracting those, have you?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
Because hopefully it should be around like level 7, like your Blink. You could put Rope Lift in for passive stats, and the Urda's Will in to start using it on the boss fights. Whenever you're going to get hit by something, you want to cleanse. You don't want to get grabbed by a hand in gloom. You don't want to get stunned by a ball or blinded by a ball and then all of your damage missing, right? Mm-hmm. Build that muscle memory, because in Black Mage you have the curse system, right? I don't know if you've looked into it a little bit.
Very, very minor.
You've got like half the skills give you like a dark curse, and the other half gives you a light curse. And if you ever get hit by something that gives you the opposite curse, you lose a life from that, but you also still take damage, and you could die to the damage. So there's like the double death phenomenon. Or if you take a lot of damage, get hit by a lot of things that don't kill you, you could constantly be losing lives. You could lose like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then die and lose a 5th, and just your lives could like plummet. But what the will skill can do is, if it cleanses you, then for the next 3 seconds you won't take whatever other curse it is. So if you can tank the skill, then you can jump through it, take the damage, and not die to that. So it can prevent deaths in a way. It can be like a pseudo iframe. So it's good to get used to using it more, and have it close somewhere where your hands can reach it. Maybe in another game you have a similar function, or something like that.
I think that's basically it. We covered everything. I feel like I'm holding you a little over the
a little bit. I usually go way over, so you're good. I think we covered everything.
Covered everything.
Okay, sounds good. All right.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck. I hope you get to Black Mage soon. But yeah, don't be afraid to just grind it out as long as that's fun for you. You can get to 270 faster. You can start practicing the Black Mage faster.
I won't be back in Lumina for a little bit. I'll take a little break from Lumina.
Yeah. And then when you come back, boom, boss damage fam is gonna just come falling right out of the sky. hopefully. Oh yeah. We do have the new like inner stuff coming.
Oh yeah. That
hopefully.
was that was the one thing. So on the battle pass, I'm getting the 500k. Should I roll for 50% drop? I'm gonna have like almost $1 million on the next half off.
You could eventually, but I would pause now because we're, most likely from Korea getting the presets. And I think it'll have more value for you to make a second one that's just purely bossing. Purely damage, yeah. And then probably even make a third one that's purely drop. So that you switch to that one when you're like opening the box. So one that has 20% drop top. Because just all the drop rate is just so important. And you have such limited boss clears that you want those ring boxes, you want those pitched, you want all of those drops. That I'll probably keep this one as like kind of like a hybrid if you're more going for if you're just training, and then make another one specifically for bossing, so attack speed +1, and then not crit rate anymore because that's going to be way over for us. But like boss damage and then damage to debuff most likely. Although some people were saying buff duration might be good for a lot of people because there's also buff duration in the Legion artifact coming, and because the terms and conditions is going down to 60-second cooldown, the general uptime on that is going to be so good that increasing the buff duration on that might actually increase your damage more than just like the 7% damage across the board. So there's probably going to be a lot of calculations happening. So I would let the nerds calculate and just sit on your Honor EXP until someone figures it out and just tells you the number, and then just copy that. And then the third one, I'd probably just pick 20% drop rate top line and then just do whatever the fuck for the other two. It doesn't really matter. And then just so you can switch into that for the boss rooms. So just have as much Honor EXP as you can have ready for that, because that's going to be pricey. And then if the bossing one is completely done, you can always return to this one and fine tune it and try to go for the drop rate.
Okay.
All right. Well, best of luck. Hopefully it was helpful for you. I'll upload it to YouTube as well, so I know you took some notes. I mean, I'm pretty sure you did, because you were a little bit quiet at some moments, so it was like he's writing down or typing at a computer, one of the two. But yeah, if you have any follow-up questions you feel are pretty important that we didn't address, just hit me up on Discord, and otherwise, you know where I stream, and I'm there pretty much every day, so you can find me there.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome, and see you around.
Yep, have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, wait, it said have a good one. I should say you too. Oh, damn, you too. It's like a waiter was like, enjoy your food, and then you say you too. Awkward. All right. Night Lord 5 Oz ring rotation when? Oh, who? Who, when? Imagine if you could use all of the roars and you're like rotating roar 4 or 3 or 2. Roar 5. Alright, so yeah, hopefully for people in a similar situation, in between like the 265, you don't know quite which bosses should I be doing, can I be doing, party size, do I need to start practicing Black Mage? All of that stuff, do I need to be working on boss mules all the time, or can I go, or do you need to go for familiars, or do I just grind out on my main? Lots of options. There's some things to think about there. We didn't go over his Hexamatrix stuff, but his Hexamatrix is great. It's very far. All of this seems good, so there's a lot of damage. I mean, his Hexamatrix is further than my DA's is. Not quite as far as my arcs, but it's further than my DA is, so that's all going perfectly according to pace. One thing I was going to mention. You're still here, right? One thing I was going to mention, if you have trade potions and stuff like that, smash it into your insight here. That's still going to give you final damage. So I would slowly work on trying to max this one out. And empathy also gives you buff duration. So these two are nice to level on your main character. So if you have the growth potions or the monster collection, like those trade potions or something like that, just throw them over there. People in chat were probably raging at your 4 little squares extra, but if you make a bunch of 200s, this is gonna happen pretty soon. Once you fix the other 2, you can just slam them in here, get a little bit more main stat, or get them all on the same level, whatever. It'll be fine. Yeah, it's a few small things here and there, but for most of the bosses and for like a Lotus, it's just a bunch of practicing. You might be able to check from my stream. Yeah, in the beginning I was like, maybe I'll check through my stream and kind of slowly take you through like hard Lotus, what I do on my Cannoneer. But I don't know which day I ran it on, and I wasn't going to go through like 5 VODs and have you sit through that. That could have been prep I should have done on my side. Tetris is too hard. Well, ! Legion, there's a link there to the Legion Solver, where if you just put in all the Legion pieces that you have and the ones you want to put in, it'll just give you the solution and you could just copy the homework. And I think that's quite, that could be quite useful. But yeah, if this session was helpful for you, then I'm glad. And if it wasn't, maybe check out one of these other sessions from hopefully not too long ago. That will be more your speed. If you want one of these sessions, check the description of the video or check Coaching over in the Twitch chat. These sessions are done live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Scardor. So if you want one of those sessions, check the information out there. There's 3 ways of getting them. 1 is just buying a session. 2 is by saving up channel points by watching the stream and being a subscriber, which is significantly cheaper, but might take a little bit of time. And the 3rd one is leaving a comment saying that you would like to win. And then at the end of the month, I will pick 2 winners that will get a free session. So if that's something you want to do, make sure you leave a comment saying that you would like to win. And please include your Discord name so I can reach out to you more easily, because YouTube comments can get lost. So yes, with all that said, thank you for watching. See you on the next video or live on stream. Bye-bye.